Yo. Good morning to the people. Good morning. Thank you guys for being here as always. This is Cashed It with Chris, the NBA betting show slash podcast. We got a lot to get into. Not the most excited this morning, man. I'm not the most excited, but it's all basketball related. It's a grind. We put the work in, we put the time in, and sometimes you don't get the results. I was going through updating the units this morning and not at a place where I really want to be, if I'm being honest with you guys. And first and foremost, I do want to say that the podcast is presented by the Basketball Forever Podcast Network. Be sure to check those guys out over on all the social media platforms. But let's get into it, man. I don't want to. I'm never in the business of wasting people time and wasting people money. My own as well, right? That's just not what we're here for. So I love the spots over the weekend, but we are not in the positive, especially on the show, right? So overall, I'm looking at plus 4.54 units overall, and that's in totality. So I'm doing the evening show, the NBA Crispy Captain show in the evening. So all together collectively, I'm plus 4.54 units on the season, which isn't too bad. But on the show plays, I'm actually minus 2.32 units. And I think that's because the player props would come out, later in the evening. And we've hit a couple ladders and or at least, close to completing, the whole ladder on taking a player points prop to go all the way to the top. So we gotta, I just gotta lock back in and do a little bit better. I gave out yesterday. If you tapped into the spaces that I did or the morning show that I did, I gave out a couple plays that I felt really, really good about. I gave out the and that'll segue us into the recap. I'm not gonna take too long on the recap, but yesterday I gave out the Pelicans first quarter, first half, and that did not go as planned. Saturday, I gave out the Philadelphia 76ers first quarter, first half. I gave out a team total on Saturday. I gave out a spread on Sunday, on yesterday. And neither one of them went as planned. Love the spots. Like I don't look back at my plays and think like, man, I probably shouldn't have done that. I look back at them thinking like, okay, the data supported it. I love the spot for these teams. The Sixers are shelling themselves. We kind of talked about it yesterday. I'm not going to touch too much on that. And I was just disappointed in the Pelicans, especially being their first home game yesterday. And like I told you guys yesterday, I doubled down on that as well. So also yesterday, I gave out Valanciunas rebounds. Valanciunas was actually played off the court yesterday. If you watch the Utah Jazz play, they run a set where everybody on the floor can shoot the ball. They can spread the ball extremely well. They have guys like Kelly Olynyk and Lauri Markkanen who can play the five, and they pretty much just set a lot of pick and rolls. And the Jazz shoot a lot of threes, and those guys can shoot the ball as well. So Valanciunas would drop, and the Pelicans would be he would drop into the paint, and they would get wide open shots. The Jazz would. So he ended up getting played off the floor. They ended up Coach Willie Green ended up running with Larry Nance to close the game. That game ended up going to overtime yesterday, and the Jazz won. They're actually 3-0. So shout out to them. Congratulations to the Jazz. I did not see that one coming, but I think a lot of people would say the same. And Valanciunas, like I said, got played off the floor. The Jazz also rebound the ball a little bit better than I think most people thought. I know myself, I didn't think that they would rebound the ball that well, but they've actually looked good rebounding the ball too. So, and then also I gave out Kelly Oubre ladder. Oubre started the game 0 for 4 in the first quarter. Just looked like he was not supposed to be out there fouling 3-point shooters. He looked terrible at the beginning of the game. I think he was like 3 for 10 before he actually, got going, 1 for 9, something like that. And of course, he finished with 24 points. So he cashed it over 19.5 if you played that one. I got it at minus 113. His line actually dropped towards the start of the game, which I thought was weird, to 18.5. So you could have got a better number. And then I allotted his 25 points and his 30 points, but those were only quarter unit plays. And of course, he finished with 24 and not get to 25, which was plus 270. So overall, it wasn't the greatest day. 1 and 2 on the recap because, like I said, I gave out Valanciunas rebounds, didn't cash. Oubre points did cash, and the Pelicans first quarter didn't cash either. I also played the Pelicans first half as well, so that was another loss for me, but that was a personal loss. So, yeah, like I said, update unit wise, I am up 4.54 units overall. If you've been tapping into both of the NBA Crispy Captain show and the actual Cashed It with Chris this morning show. So let's get into today, man. Let's get into today. We do got a little slate. Appreciate you guys in the chat. We do got a little slate. Let's see what we got. We got the Pacers going to the 76ers. Let me just get the banner up. We got the Pacers going to the 76ers today. And I talked about it the other day. Sometimes I gotta wait and see it, man. I think looking at this game, capping this game, you get a Pacers team that's coming in here. They're off. Both teams are off a day's rest. The Pacers got their first win on Saturday at home versus Detroit. It should be a smash spot for the 76ers in this one. But we thought the same thing on Saturday against the Spurs, who are both bottom feeders in the NBA right now, and both teams looking to rebuild. So I'm not laying 11.5 with the 76ers here. The total opened up at 226. Right now, I see the total has gone up to 227. I like that number a lot. I do think that the Sixers could score points, but I'm not. They're the slowest paced team in the league right now. And if you look at it, they look like they're a half step slow. They look like they're moving in slow motion. Everybody but Tyrese Maxey looks like they're going about 7 miles per hour down the floor. And Tyrese Maxey looked like he's doing 110. They just look so slow. James Harden looked like, I know he looked good, earlier, but James Harden, like he still has lost a step for sure. The Sixers come into this game 0-3. Worst record in the league, tied with the Lakers. And I think the interesting point, I brought this up the other day, and B talked about his conditioning affecting, I think it's affecting the pace of play. It's definitely affecting how he's looked so far. And it's frustrating because as a handicapper, as a bettor, you want to know as much information as you possibly can. But it wasn't until the start of the season it wasn't until till they went 0-2 that Doc Rivers actually came out and said that Joel Embiid had the plantar fasciitis. And then it came out, I guess Joel Embiid talked about it after the loss because he skipped media day. I mean, he skipped the post-game press conference after after the second loss. But after the third loss against the Spurs, he said that, for 2 months, he didn't get a chance to really do anything. And that would have been nice to know because I took his point prop on opening night. Will I be looking to back it tonight? No. Do the Pacers have anybody that can guard him? No. And I know he had 40 the other day against the Spurs, but yeah, I'm probably staying off of this team. I do like the total though. I like the total to go over 227. I'm not gonna make that an official play. But what I had was since the start of the last season, I kind of mentioned this before. The Pacers have played when the Pacers have played without Miles Turner, the games have gone over 30 of 43 times. That's a 70% hit rate on the over when Miles Turner doesn't play. I think he's still out. He's going to be out for this game, but that's something you might want to monitor. He's supposed to be out for about a week. He should be coming back sometime this week, but I'm not 100% sure when. On the opposite side, Ben Mathurin has looked amazing. I'm pretty sure he's getting starter minutes now, and Coach Rick Carlisle actually kept him in to close the game on Saturday night. So yeah, Ben Mathurin he's amazing. This dude is man, it's crazy how good he is. The total is also 6-1 in the last 7 meetings, and 9-3 in the last 12 meetings in Philly specifically. Also, the Pacers have covered. I forgot what exactly the cover rate was, but I was looking at it. The Pacers have covered a lot of games recently against they've covered a lot of games recently against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Sixers get these big point spreads, and then they just for some reason they can't cover them. I'm looking at 4 in a row. They've covered 4 in a row, and they were 14.5 point dogs last year, 10.5 point dogs last year. and 4-point favorites back on the 13th of November 2021, and they won that game by 5. So yeah, the Pacers have covered 4 in a row. Even if they haven't won, they've still been able to cover the spread. And the 76ers need a win desperately. I'm all for this game. Not really wanting to touch anything at all. You guys have fun with that one. Do what you want to do with that one. Moving right along. Let me just check the YouTube comments. Captain 101 said, good morning. Love your show and grind. Appreciate that, man. We always trying to get to some money. I'm not doing this show for any other reason than to share information and to in the cash, man. Oh yeah. Brian said Philly land double digits. No way possible. Yeah. And I know it's the Pacers, but it's no way possible I'm taking them to do that. So, neither here nor there. I'm not touching that game at all. Let's move along though. Let's move right along. Let's go to the Magic and the Knicks. So you get a Magic team that's coming in 0-3. They look good, specifically in the first half of games. I was looking at some SDQL on the Magic, and so far this season, the Magic I think they've pretty much covered every first half. But the trend, the quickly growing trend is they can't close games, and I think that's normal for a team with so many young players on it. I think they're averaging something like 43, 44 points in the second half. It's less than 25 per quarter in the second half combined. So I'm sorry, not combined, but for the full first half, they're averaging less than 25 per quarter after halftime. Put it like that. You want to get behind a team like the Knicks. The Knicks just beat the Pistons by 24. Then the Pistons beat the Magic on opening night. So you would think that the Knicks should be able to cover a number like this. They're an extremely deep team. Jalen Brunson has looked good. The Knicks, they could have won the first game, and on opening night, they went to overtime with the Grizzlies, but they lost that one. They had a great bounce back on opening night, and now you get a Magic team that's coming in here. The Knicks are more rested. But I'll tell you guys, I was looking at an SDQL trend that just won't allow me to lay 7.5 with the Knicks. And that trend is that last season when the Knicks were coming off a win where they were home favorites in the next game, they were 1-6 straight up and 0-7 ATS, with 2 of those losses coming against the Magic. And taking a deeper look at this game, like, the expectations for the Knicks, I think, certain people have a little higher expectations than others, but I mean, this Knicks team isn't supposed to be the greatest. I think I'm a little higher on them, and I was actually thinking about playing that team total over, even though I couldn't find a line for it. So I don't have anything official on this one yet, but I will tell you guys that Orlando plays the Knicks pretty well. Just looking at the head-to-head over the recent years, the Knicks won and covered by 30 on April the 3rd. So maybe, the Orlando has this game circled after taking a 30-point loss. But Orlando actually covered back on November 17th last year. Orlando also covered on October 24th last year. So Orlando's covered 2 of the last 3 games, and they typically are getting, 11.5. I see 11.5, 12, and 5.5 points. So, I could see the Knicks covering, but I'm not willing to. I don't want to lay a big number like 7.5 against a Magic team that has a lot of talent. A lot of talent. I didn't look at player props because a lot of things weren't available in that one. So that's what I'll tell you guys about that one based on the research that I did. Moving along yet again, I don't even got a banner for this one. The Raptors and the Heat. I didn't really look too much into this one. What I will tell you guys is that the Raptors in the Heat, they just played on Saturday night. It was a 3-point spread. I think it went down to 2.5. The Heat jumped out on the Raptors early. I think they were winning by 20, 21 points at halftime. And then you saw a Raptor team, do what they do. They started to play some defense, which it was weird that they gave up so many points at halftime, but the Heat needed that win. When you see these teams play these games back to back where they don't have to move, as far as location, the site's still the same. Typically, you take the opposite. So in that game, I want to say the overhit in that game So you would typically look towards taking the under in the back-to-back spot. Also, you want to look to take the team that lost, because most of the times when you're playing, and this goes back to last year, we saw it a lot last year when it's two teams playing back-to-back. You want to take the team. Nobody wants to lose twice, in a 2-game split like that. But shout out to the Heat. They desperately needed that win, and it was one of the reasons why I was off of that game, even though I like the Raptors in that spot. Short travel from Brooklyn after that loss. But yeah, you get a Raptors team that's 1-2 now. I'm off of this game, but I would only look towards taking the Raptors plus the 3.5. The total in that one actually went over 4.5. So if we got an under in this one, it really wouldn't surprise me either. It opened at 217, and I don't think. Let's see what we see money on. Still it's up half a point. So open at 217, it's up to 217.5. Moving right along, so nothing official for me on that one either. Moving right along, let's go to the Nets and the Grizzlies. Really wanting to make a play in this one. Like the spot. I think a little bit more for the Nets, right? So talk about this one. You got a spread that opened at 1.5 in favor of Memphis. And it stayed there. I see a 2 on DraftKings, but most of the sharp books have it still at a 1.5. The totals went from 227.5 up to 228.5. I like the over. I like the over a lot. The over's 4-0 in the last 4 meetings in Memphis. It's also 9-4 in the last 13 games between these two teams, no matter the site. I didn't play this, but I will say that both of these teams' defense have been horrendous. I'm talking about bottom of the barrel type trash defenses from both of these teams. We know that Brooklyn lacks the interior defensive presence as far as rim protection. And the Memphis team without Jared Jackson Jr., without Dillon Brooks, who I think is expected to play. He was a late scratch on Saturday in that beatdown that they took against the Dallas Mavericks, which we were on the right side in that one, scheduled loss spot. And in this one, I feel like it's a scheduled loss spot. It could be looked at as a scheduled loss spot as well. Brooklyn had the day off on. They played on Friday and beat Toronto, but then on Saturday they were off. On Sunday they were off. Now you travel, and I'm pretty sure they use one of those days as a travel day, of course. And now you get to Memphis, and you catch Memphis on a 3rd and 4 nights, right? Because Memphis, they exerted a lot of energy on Friday night in the win against Houston in overtime, and then you go to Dallas and you get smacked up. Lost that game by I think it was 25-30, something like that. And that was the second night of a back-to-back. And you get one day off and you got to travel back home to Memphis. I could only look towards Brooklyn in this game. I think Brooklyn needs to stack wins. I think that Memphis struggles a little bit as well. So what I got in my notes is Dallas got smacked up 3rd and 4 nights for this Brooklyn 3rd and 4 night for the Grizzlies. So the Brooklyn should be the more rested team in this one. But then again, I think the other thing you look at is the revenge angle. So Memphis has actually owned Brooklyn. They've owned Brooklyn recently. They've won 6 of the last 7, going all the way back to 2018. They've covered 8 of the last 9 spreads as well. And Brooklyn catches them at a really good time. If you're going to take advantage of Memphis, you got to do it when they don't got Jared Jackson Jr. You got to do it when, you're getting the guy back like Dillon Brooks, because we know that when you implement these guys back into the offense, it shifts everybody's position. We saw it with Zach LaVine the other day coming back and in their home opener, getting smacked up by the Cleveland Cavaliers in that game. So I think Memphis they're struggling defensively. They're allowing 123.7 points per game, which is second last in the NBA right now. It's crazy to think a defensive team like Memphis is giving up 123 and a half points per game, but it's true. You look at the opposite side, and this is one of the reasons why I like the over in this game. You look at the opposite side, and Brooklyn's defense is allowed 117 and a half points a game themselves. They rank 21st, right? And then you get the Brooklyn Brooklyn's offense has only scored 108.2 points per game. But when you look at the opponent, it makes sense. They had a Pelicans team that is very long and played very great defense against them on opening night. And then they had a Toronto team that's also one of the better defensive teams in the league, and they're scrappy on defense as well. So, they only scored 108.5 points tonight. But I look for Brooklyn to probably go over their team total in this one. They're the more rested team, like I said. I like the over for the full game as well. And I think we get a lot of points in this one. But I think that Brooklyn has a little more firepower than Memphis does right now, especially with them, probably looking with Brooklyn looking to stack some wins. They need a win. I'm pretty sure they got those games circled. And I expect Memphis to play hard. They and that's one of the reasons why I don't necessarily want to play the game. It's because they got smacked up the way that they did. They should come out here with something. I think coach has them motivated to do what they're supposed to do. But I would only be able to look towards Brooklyn plus the 2. Almost locked this one in, but I didn't play it quite yet. I think it's a Brooklyn spot. I definitely think it's a Brooklyn spot for sure. And what else we got? Celtics and the Bulls. Not too much on this one. The line for this one opened at 5 in favor of the Celtics. The Bulls are some money's come in on the Bulls. The line has gone from 5 down to 4.5. The total was at 221 last night when I looked at it. Let me see what the total is right now. The total right now is at 223.5, and I like that number a lot. We know Mazzulu talked about the Boston Celtics trying to get out and push the pace, score a lot of points, specifically in transition. And I think that they do that. I don't see the Bulls really stopping anybody. They got embarrassed, so in their home opener with Zach LaVine. So theoretically, in the second game back is where they're supposed to gel. Based on the trends, based on the numbers. Both of these teams are coming off one day's rest. 7-point win for Boston and Orlando on Saturday. And the Bulls, like I said, coming off a 32-point season opening loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Al Horford missed that game against Orlando Saturday due to back stiffness, but I think he should be able to play in this one. Looking at the matchup, though, head-to-head, Chicago has covered 4 of the last 5 games versus Boston. They're in a highly motivational spot as well after getting blown out in their home opener. I talked about that already. Boston is undefeated, and they don't look like they're showing any signs of slowing down at all. Even with an Orlando team that gave them a fight all the way up until the end on Saturday. Boston ranked second in field goal percentage, shooting 52% from the field on the season, and they ranked 10th in three-point shooting as well, shooting the three at 39% as well. The Bulls, on the other hand, ranked dead last in opponent field goal percentage, and they're last in three-point percentage as well, allowing teams to shoot 47% from three. So all signs point to Boston team total over. I didn't play it, but that's where I would look in that game. And we're at the 23.5-minute mark, so I wanted to give you guys, going back to the first game, I wanted to give you guys one official play. I'll probably have more throughout the day, so be sure to tap into the Crispy Captain Show, 5:15 Eastern Time later on today. The only play that I've locked in so far is Tyrese Halliburton. Going back to that Pacers and 76ers game, Tyrese Halliburton assists was sitting at 8.5, and I saw it at minus 120. I thought that number was a tad bit crazy, given how many assists and potential assist opportunities he's averaged so far. So that's something that I did look at already and that I did go ahead and lock in. So I wanted to give that to you guys. And I always talk about this, if you go over to NBA.com and you're looking at the advanced stats, if you go and look at the passing, so Tyrese Halliburton is averaging 20.3 potential assists, and he's averaging 9.7 assists. So I think anytime you can get his line under 9, you have to take it. I talked about the 76ers being the slowest paced team in the league, but I would still only look towards Halliburton going over his assists. The best line I saw was a minus 120. And I think that, that throughout the day, that line's probably gets juiced even more than it already is. So I like that look a lot. We know that the 76ers aren't necessarily stopping anybody. The Pacers probably will try to speed them up, knowing that it's going to be more difficult for them to try to score in a half court set. So I expect the Pacers to play to speed the 76ers up. Halliburton have a bunch of potential assists. They don't really have a strong secondary point guard behind them. Only play I locked in. I put that in for 1 unit. Tyrese Halliburton over 8.5 assists, minus 120. As of right now, that's the only play I want to give you guys. Like I said, I like the over in that game, but I won't go official with that. I also like Brooklyn to beat Memphis tonight, plus the 2. It's down to 1.5, like I said. And that's all. That's really all I got. Best of luck on all your bets today. We're over the 25-minute mark. I appreciate you guys for being here with me as always. Everybody leaving comments over on YouTube. Jay Jones said Jaylen Brown's bounce back game. No way he shoots less than 30% again. I agree with that. He was in an unmotivated spot against Orlando the other day, Jay. So I like that a lot. This is going to be a Morant statement game. I can feel it. Okay. Memphis for halftime money line. Okay. I like the young talent that the Magic has. Jeff says Knicks team total is 113.5 on DraftKings. I like that, Jeff. I like that a lot. I might get there with that. Orlando's giving up points by the bunches, so I like that number a lot. Brunson over 5.5 assists. Banchero over 17.5 points. I can see that one as well. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you guys for coming through and rocking with me, man. If you can, hit the like button. Subscribe to the YouTube page as well. Share the show. 5:15 Eastern Time, NBA Crispy Captain Show. See you guys there. Best of luck on all your action that you placed today. I'm out.